Welcome to Leaving Nothing to Chance, your go-to podcast where we bring you insights from some of the most influential voices in small business and personal development. Each week, we dive deep into conversations with top thought leaders, authors, and business moguls from around the world, sharing their secrets to success and strategies for growth. Tune in for exclusive content that will inspire, motivate, and equip you to take your journey to the next level. This is Leaving Nothing to Chance.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. My new friend, all the way from Downey, California, Mr. Brian Lizama. How are you today?
Hey John, doing amazing, man. How are you doing?
I'm terrific. And it was so nice to meet you last week and find out a little bit about salt and all that. But before we get into that, let's get them to know who Brian is and your background a little bit and how you arrived at saying, hey, I want to build the greatest Celtic salt company in the world. What happened before that got you to this level?
Definitely. I'm a little bit of my background as far as the origins and things like that. So my parents are Hispanic. My dad's from Mexico. He grew up in Colima, studied to be a teacher out there and realized there wasn't much money to be made being a teacher in Mexico. So he moved over here and started doing construction. And I met my mom. She's from Guatemala. And like they met here and then they started a family. And me and my siblings grew up in a city called Norwalk in Downey, California. And growing up here, we learned very quickly, being first generation here, it's okay, there's a lot of things that you don't know growing up and that you need to learn to be successful in life. Growing up in a humble upbringing in Downey specifically, like I grew up seeing a lot of people that their parents were like business owners. And so their parents had they were on vacations, they were the nice cars, the kids were wearing the newest fashions and things like that. For us, we had humble beginnings. And so I didn't have much of that at all. So seeing that as a kid, it pretty much inspired me. I said, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna be an adult one day. When I'm an adult, I'm gonna have kids, and I want to be able to provide for my kids the American dream. You know, a nice house, travel, education, and of course, God as well. And through that, I went to Downey High School, graduated 2010, and I was really into sports. I'm a very competitive person. So I did wrestling, I did football, and I learned so many lessons in that industry. Not in the industry, but as far as in sports that I started to apply into every area of life. I'm a very highly competitive person. I enjoy helping others. I enjoy winning. After football and wrestling, my senior year in high school, I went to college. I went to Long Beach State University, and I was a biology major. So my goal was to become a doctor, general physician. And once I started going to college, I started getting into the workforce as well. I started working at FedEx. So I had my first experience at 18 and a half working at FedEx ground and working at the warehouse as a package handler. So I was at the bottom loading boxes into the trailers, scanning and loading. And I got to see what happens behind the scenes, people throwing boxes, people kicking boxes, all that stuff. You're like, hey, why did my package show up so messed up? And it's, yeah, the handlers are probably kicking them and throwing them. They're upset. They're on their 2000th box for the day, so they're not too happy. But yeah, being in that corporate environment really showed me that definitely didn't want to stay in the labor force for a long time. And also that through corporate, there's a lot of hoops that you have to go through as far as be in a company for 5 years to get a promotion. And it's about who you know. And necessarily your hard work that you put in at a job doesn't get reflected in your paycheck, especially when you're just making hourly pay. And so all that also while being a full-time student, I realized that time is very limited. And so if you're getting paid by the hour, it's not really gonna amount to much depending on what you do. But my goal was like I wanted to be successful quick. I didn't want to be in my 40s or 50s. I was like, yeah, I want to grow fast. And I was looking into real estate, and then I got the opportunity to get into the insurance business actually with a company called Primerica. Not knowing anything about sales, hating. I was actually a very introverted person, John. So I didn't like talking to people. I wasn't comfortable offering something to somebody. And it was crazy because when I was first training for that business, I was watching my trainer interact with customers, couples, going over their finances, and basically educating them about life insurance and investments and the importance of retirement planning. And I was just like, dang, like I can't talk like that. I don't know how to talk to people like that. How am I going to memorize all that information? But at the end of the day, of course, it's like anything in life that if you want to accomplish it, if you have the why, you'll figure out the how. If you have a strong reason why you want to do something, like you may not know anything, but you'll be able to do it if you put in the time and effort. I sucked at first, and then I started putting in a lot of work into it part time and started doing very well in the business. As a part timer, I started getting a lot of sales, started building my team and growing the company as a part timer to the point where I was actually beating a lot of the full timers that were at the office that I started at. And so I was getting opportunities to speak publicly, give speeches on stage. And I was like, dang, I like this. I like recognition. I like talking to people and motivating people. Because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And it's like what I got from football and sports was like, okay, we're all humans. We all start at different places, right? But basically, at the end of the day, if you want to get somewhere, there's something behind getting there that you have to put in the work. And for example, football, I'm 5'5", so not the tallest dude. I'm Hispanic, so the genetics are not the same. And so I was like, okay, if I want to be a starter, if I want to be a team captain, what do I have to do differently to beat my teammates for that starting position and to be a team captain? And that was just what I see my parents do growing up, which is just work their butts off. Practice was not practice. Like practice for me was just like normal, but practice began for me after practice. It was like, what do I do when I get home? What do I do on the weekends? After the game on Friday night, what am I doing on Saturday morning? So those are things that I took and I applied and I learned from my coaches, and I became a starter. I became a team captain, even though I'm only 5'5", as a middle linebacker for Downey High School. And then I applied it to wrestling, and yeah, we won CIF. I won the league championship at only like wrestling for 4 months. So it was a pretty crazy turn of events that taught me like if you work for it, you'll be able to outdo other people and be the best in whatever you want to do. And it's not necessarily being better than everybody else, is just being better than yourself when you first started and continuing that process.
It's funny because you touched a couple of nerves here. Okay. Being at Primerica was founded by a football coach, Art Williams, way back. And
Yep,
Art had a great expression. I was never in A.L. Williams or Primerica, but I'm very familiar with the company. But he had a great expression. He wrote a book. All you can do is all you can do, but all you can do is enough.
exactly,
And
exactly.
and you know what? Until I got into my late 50s, I didn't understand that
Right.
there's a limitation of what you can do. You just always do your best, I think was his real message. And I think it's a great message. But you mentioned the sport of wrestling, and that's been a big part of my life. I got into direct sales through another wrestler, through a
Right.
guy who had wrestled at a different high school than me, but we knew each other. We were friends, and he introduced me. And I was actually working for a member of the U.S. Wrestling Hall of Fame, Dave Przansky, at the time when I got introduced to my first direct selling business. But wrestling, Dan Gable always said, after wrestling, everything else in life is easy. So those two influences of wrestling and Art Williams, football coach, and both of those men obviously knew how to build great organizations. There's two influences that I think helped you to get to where you are, even if you never met either gentleman directly. It's probably helped to form your thinking and why you're so successful today, because you built a great business and then you decided to sell it. Okay. So there is life for my network marketing friends. There is life after network marketing, right, Brian?
Yeah, there definitely is. There definitely is. And you could do more than what you think. That's crazy because when I was in Primerica, I was doing it. I was in there for 12 years and I thought I was gonna die there. I was like, okay, this is it. I'm doing this for life. I'm not doing nothing else. This is the best way to make income. You have financial freedom, etc. But God has different plans. God opens different doors. And everybody, it's funny though, because when I left Primerica, everybody in the industry, everybody in the company, a lot of people in the company knew me. I was a senior vice president. I ran a top 5 office in the country in 2022 and had over 300 licensed agents. And so when I left, everybody automatically assumed I was going to jump to another insurance company. Everybody's, oh, I did a podcast for a friend that was running another business for another insurance company. And they're like, everybody started calling me, oh, you're going to join the enemy company. You're going to join this company, FFL. I was like, why are you guys assuming that's all I can do? I'm like, no, I can, if you can do great at one thing, you can do great at anything if you apply the principles.
Right.
Learned really quickly that the food space is a huge space that needs improvement. Everybody eats every single day, and everybody has to make choices every single day. And it's not easy to make those choices to eat better. But I feel like if we provide better choices for people, it'll make it easier. The problem is you go to a grocery store and 80% of the stuff there is kind of junk. If you walk through the aisles, what they say is if you go through a grocery store or like a supermarket everything that's on the outside, which is refrigerated section, that's where all the healthy stuff is at.
Yep.
Everything in the middle tends to be not so good for you. Processed sugars, carbs. And again, like as a father of four, I always think, okay, what am I teaching my children? What am I feeding my children? Because at the end of the day, it's going to impact their long-term health
Mm.
more than anything. Because realistically, John, you probably didn't grow up on processed food like it is today. I really didn't grow up on processed food the way it is today. And so for us as parents right now, it's what are we feeding our children and what's out there.
So let's talk about that, Brian, because
Yeah.
so we know your background, and that's a great background, by the way, between the sports and Primerica. You've learned a whole lot from a lot of great mentors, obviously.
Yeah.
And you decided a couple years back, you know what? I like the healthy food space, like you just described. I'm going to go down a certain channel and develop a product. And by the way, I got to tell you, I tried Brian's product the other night. Okay, and I'm not big on salt, but I tried it. Something that I was eating when we were out in California. We were at a barbecue together. Delicious and as healthy as you can make a product that you add to food. I believe that this product is, and the packaging on top of it is beautiful. But explain why people will use salt if they salt their food at all, and the nutrients and everything else that's in it. Did you want me to go to presentation mode to do that? Would that help?
For that part, yeah, I could cover a little bit about that. Yeah, might as well. Let's do that. Let's
Cover
do that.
that. Yeah, let me make you the hostess with the mostest here.
Okay. I'll send it real quick.
Yeah, we go. Perfect. There you go. You got you got it.
Okay, sweet. Let me go ahead and share that. There you go. Okay, are you seeing the deck and my whole background or just the
I see those beautiful children.
Okay,
There we go.
yes. So continue to share. Okay, cool. Yeah, let me just move this here out of the way. Okay. So yeah, so this is myself. These are my four babies. I have a almost 9-year-old daughter, 5-year-old daughter, a 3-year-old daughter, and then I have my 1-year-old, 1.5-year-old son. And a little bit about the history, right? So yeah, this is like my background starting Primerica in 2011 when I was in college. I got promoted to vice president in 2017. 2022 became a senior vice president and was just kicking booty all over the country in the financial industry. And what happened was in 2023, I started to really evaluate my health. So I don't know if you could see on the right side, I think it might be covered up by
Oh yeah,
us, or can you see it?
I can see the abs of steel, man. You look like you're wrestling.
Okay.
Attaboy.
Yeah, so in 2023, I'm 5'5", I was like 210 pounds, and I had been stuck in the 200s like all my 20s, and I just chalked it up to genes. I was like, man, it's genes. I can't really lose weight. It's like no matter what I eat, and I would eat like chicken bowls and rice, the healthy stuff, salads, and for some reason I couldn't drop the weight. And then I started to learn about intermittent fasting, and so I think if you're an entrepreneur, intermittent fasting is such a big thing, John, because a lot of times when we're entrepreneurs, we're so busy with our schedules that we eat anytime throughout the day. Sometimes very late at night, sometimes very one big meal instead of spacing it out. So intermittent fasting was basically instead of eating whatever time of the day, which is what I was doing, I started limiting to an eating window where I would only eat between, let's just say, for example, 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. So I would have no breakfast in the morning. I would basically fast all the morning. Then I would eat lunch around 1, which would typically consist of like eggs and ground beef and a little bit of fruit. So really no carbs, no rice, nothing like that. And then around 5 o'clock, it would be just a little bit more meat as well, like either steak, salmon, or chicken. And same thing, fruit, no rice, no carbs. So I was really getting into the more what do they call ancestral diet as far as eating mostly like meat and fruits, avoiding like starchy veggies, avoiding rice and different carbs. And so through that, what happened was I wouldn't eat after 5 p.m. So from 5 p.m. all the way till 1 o'clock the next day, that's a big window of time you're not eating. That's about like 17, 16 hours of time that you're not eating. And so through that process, your body goes into fasting mode, which is ketosis. So you start burning fat throughout that morning. And basically I started to lose weight really quickly. I was 206. My goal was to be 180. I was like, yeah, 180 is my dream. If I can get to 180, I'm going to be like in shape, super happy. And I thought it would take me like 10 months to do it, or at least a year to lose those 25 pounds. But once I started intermittent fasting, I lost about 10 pounds per month for the first 3 months. In 90 days, I was from 206, I got down to 180 in 90 days.
What'd you wrestle in high school?
I was 160, 162.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that's about right. So 180 is 162 after 3 days weight cut.
Yeah, exactly.
You were back at your high school weight. What'd you play football at?
Football was 175.
All right. So you're
Yeah.
basically back to your high school weight by doing that. That's great.
Yeah, exactly. And then so what I realized is I was like, wow, through fasting, you can really control your weight. And so I was like, you know what? If I already hit 180 in 90 days, why don't I go for like my high school weight, which is like 160. So that's what I did. And about 5 months later, on and off, I got to 160, and that's where I got the six pack and all that right there. And I did that through incorporating what's called a water fast. Are you familiar with what a water fast is?
I did a 21-day one last year. I did a 10-day one during COVID. And
Okay.
I got to do another one. It's just a case of scheduling the time because, of course, you got to rest a lot during it. But yeah, it's a game changer. Absolutely.
Wow, 21 days. Wow, that's a
Brutal.
lot.
You know what? Once you get paid, as you've done it, once you get past day three, it's no big deal. But
Phenomenal. Yeah.
day two and day three, if you can get past those, you can do it. But 21 was my limit. My next one I'm going to do is 10. I've done a bunch of little ones, 3 days and 5 days, long weekend ones, but I'm a big time believer in it. I read a lot of stuff from Walter Longo, of course, and at the longevity place at UCLA there. And of course, Dr. Goldhammer up in, I forget the name of his place, but yeah, I read a lot of the research and it's a game changer, big time.
Wow. Definitely do me a favor once we're done, John. If you could send me the information on those doctors,
Sure.
be great. I'd love to learn a little bit more about that and also communicate with them. Reason being is because the reason I talk about fasting right before getting to salt is because that's what got me into the Celtic salt industry. Okay. Once I started water fasting, I learned that you have to have, obviously you're not eating any food, guys. So what, for those of you guys don't know, a water fast is literally going through 24 hours with with no food, just water. So I started doing like once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. And I learned that since you're not eating food, you have to get electrolytes still. And I was still working out, so I was doing fasted workouts. And that's when I learned you have to have electrolytes in your water to get proper hydration. And so I was researching, and then I found that basically Celtic salt has the most beneficial minerals and basically overall just the most minerals for hydration, right? It has magnesium, it has potassium, it has zinc, it has over 82 trace minerals that you can actually get added little benefit to your body. It's not like a multivitamin. You're not replacing everything, but you are getting that added trace minerals that our body needs. A lot of Americans were deficient in magnesium and potassium and zinc. So these are things that if you can get it in added amounts through your salt, it's a game changer. And so I started doing that. I started putting salt and a little bit of baking soda into my water, and I would just feel a lot better. So I wouldn't feel tired. I wouldn't have that brain fog, and it would get me through my water fasting. And at the time, I was living in a city called La Habra Heights, and I was looking for it for Celtic salt, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I could not find it anywhere, and people were selling it online for $40 a bag, $40, $50 a bag for one of these bags right here. And so I was like, dang, that's crazy. That's super expensive for salt. And the reason that it was so expensive is because there was a salt shortage as far as Celtic salt. So Celtic salt is only harvested in one part of the world, which is in the area of the west coast of France, right? And so these guys, they got hit with a lot of demand, and also they got hit with bad weather. So their harvests have been smaller, which led to a shortage of salt here in the country. And so I started researching it. I was using it and I started researching it. And eventually I was like, you know what? There's a big need for this product. And I couldn't find it almost anywhere. I was part with it from my house. I had to drive like 30 minutes to get there. And even then, I live in a very metropolitan area. So it's like, it shouldn't be that far away to get this salt. So I started doing my research where the salt comes from. And it comes from France. And I had to learn French to speak to the farmers that harvest the salt out there. So I had to learn all the basics. because in that part of France, they don't really speak a lot of English. A lot of people are like they're born and raised there. It's not a tourist area, so English is not really that important in that area of France. Yep, I had to learn French, and then time zone issue as well. It's like a 9 hour difference. So instead of calling them like at right now, I had to wait till midnight to call them or call them at 4 in the morning. So just little small challenges. But at the end of the day, when you have that entrepreneur mindset, you're like, it doesn't matter. I'll lose sleep. I'll do my research. I'll take some French classes online and learn how to talk to these people. I just saw the opportunity. I grabbed it. And initially, my goal was just to sell this online, to sell the salt online. But I had a friend of mine that I was actually, so when I launched the salt, it was crazy. So I started the idea like in August of 2023. And then I really got into the packaging, the details, and I ended up partnering up with my little brother. So his name's Kevin, and he's in the manufacturing industry. So he has like a warehouse and he develops other products as well. And me coming from the financial world, I had no idea about CPG. I didn't know about packaging. I didn't know about commerce across the country, across the globe. For example, the salt, I ordered it in November of 2023, my first pallet, and it didn't get here till February like 14th, till Valentine's Day of 2024. So that's what delayed my launch because I had to wait for the salt to get here. But in the meanwhile, I was able to work on like the packaging very well and get the branding going, and so get the word out. And honestly, it was awesome. Once we launched, like a lot of so shout out to my Instagram people that follow me there. They were very supportive. They bought a lot of the salt within the first 90 days. And then little by little, it just started spreading where I went to go visit a couple stores and just to see if there was interest. And of course, with Primerica, I was a huge prospector, which is prospecting is you're going up to strangers, meeting them at the market, you're meeting wherever you go at the gym, what have you, and you're pitching your product, you're pitching your opportunity, right? So that was something that when I was in Primerica, like I did hate and I sucked at initially, but I eventually got really good. It became like second nature. Like part of my journey to become successful in Primerica was like prospecting every single day, 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day. And especially when my daughter was born, like I would prospect till like midnight. So back then Walmart didn't close till like midnight. So I'll be literally at Walmart, like talking to couples at midnight. Hey, are you from around the area? Do you keep your options open when it comes to making extra income or life insurance planning and things like that? And here I am pretending to be shopping and prospecting people day and night. And that's a lot of rejection. That's a lot of challenge. It's a big challenge, but it definitely grew my skin to be very thick. So now rejection is not really a big deal. I don't get embarrassed. Even though, of course, you always have that nervousness. You always have that what if, how's it going to go? Do you want to get the yes? So you still never want to get a no. You want to get better so you could avoid the no, of course. And so, yes, I ended up going to this small store that my friend recommended me to check out. And I showed him the product. I was like, hey, here, I'll show you this one. So I was like, hey, this is salt. The benefits are it's a hand harvested, all natural, unprocessed, right? So with regular salt that everybody typically uses growing up, we all grow up using Morton salt, right? I don't know about you, but we use Morton salt in my household. And it's the cheapest thing. And what I realized is that Morton's is actually processed. It's very processed. So it goes through a big refining process. They bleach it to make it white and they remove all the minerals in the refining process. They remove all the natural minerals that comes in salt. So at the end of the day, when you're eating Morton's or just regular processed salt, you're not getting any of the minerals that naturally is supposed to come with salt, which is good for your body. So because of that, it turns it from a healthy product to pretty much a toxic product. It has aluminum silicate. They add dextrose, which is sugar to it. And they add so many things and they put it through this long process of refining that it's no longer what it originally was. And that's why our bodies don't take so well to process salt. In the 70s, doctors started talking about how salt is bad for you. Salt is going to kill you. Salt is causing high blood pressure. And it's true if it's regarding to processed salt. But if you actually use unprocessed, unrefined sea salt, like salt, it's actually not bad for you. And your body has ways of naturally balancing out your sodium levels. So it's actually, I've seen studies that have been done that people that don't eat enough salt have a lot more health issues than people that eat too much salt, as long as it's the natural salt. With that being said, yeah, It's a huge difference. And also not only health wise, John, but also flavor. Like you could definitely tell. Like when you eat processed salt, it tastes like it has like a chemical-y taste, and it typically doesn't have enough flavor. That's why people tend to over salt their food. Like growing up, I'd see my grandpa always over salting his food, and it's because it doesn't have enough flavor. It's lacking minerals, it's lacking that oomph. Versus salt, you could put a little bit on and you'll taste the difference right away.
When we were talking the other night, I was eating some hummus with some carrots, and you said, let me put a little on there. And I was like, all right. And it definitely brings out the flavor of stuff too. It's delicious. And I do know a lot of people, when they do fast, some people actually do add salt to their water. To,
Yeah.
to your point about the electrolytes. So talk about that a little bit, and then also talk about the 100 stores, because that's a heck of an achievement to be in 100 stores selling anything, especially as quickly as you've done it.
Thanks. Yeah. So as far as the electrolytes, so putting into your water is super important because our bodies have a lot of what's called sodium magnesium pumps, right? Or sodium potassium pumps. I think that's what they are actually. And so your body uses sodium to do a lot of transactions as far as your nervous system goes, your brain function, even like hydration as well, like water, getting water into the cells. What happens is when you don't have enough sodium, your body can't even absorb the water because what happens is when you're low on sodium, your body starts to reject liquid. Your body starts to reject water. And so, have you ever heard, John, like where people, like when it's the summertime, especially like a lot of older folks, they get heat strokes and they die
Yeah.
of heat exhaustion?
Yep.
So, I always wondered, like, how does that happen? They just got to drink water, duh. Like, why is that happening? The reason it's happening is not because they're not drinking water, because if they were not drinking water, a lot of these dehydrations happen at like elderly homes, right? If it's because of lack of water, these places will get sued. It's not the problem. They're drinking water. The problem is that they don't have a lot of these elderly people are on salt restricted or no salt diets. And so when you have no salt in your system, your body can't even hold on to the water that you're drinking. So when you drink water without salt, it pretty much just goes through your system. And of course, the water we drink now doesn't have minerals in it typically, purified water. So it doesn't have any minerals in it, which means that your body is gonna the water you drink is leaching minerals out of your body. So when you go to use restroom, you go pee, and you're drinking water without any sodium in your system, basically that water is coming out, it's going in and it's coming out, it's not hydrating you. Not only is it not hydrating you, but it's actually pulling more minerals out of your body. So it's like a ongoing chain and domino effect of making your health worse. And if you notice, like people that get dehydrated, the first thing they do is they put them on these IV bags, which have a ton of salt in it. There's a lot of sodium in it. So and sodium and bicarbonate, and which is basically just salt. So without salt, you can't get proper hydration. And this is known through the fitness industry, especially like a lot of marathon runners, people that do a lot of extraneous long-term exercise, marathon runners, they actually eat salt tablets before they go on a run or during their run. Because without it, you could drink a lot of water, but you're not replacing what you're losing through your sweat and your urine. You're getting dehydrated because you're losing all your electrolytes. And the same thing with the Fit Expo, right? We were at the Fit Expo this last weekend, and all the guys I was talking to, the bodybuilders, are like, "Yeah, man." Like one of the guys that won the championship, he's, "Yeah, I can't eat this right now, man, because I've just been drinking salt water all day. I'm over salt for today." But I'll take some tomorrow. So even bodybuilders, they use salt in their water to basically get really strong because even your muscles, they can't absorb water as well without salt.
So tell me, you had 100 stores in Q3 2024, 300 stores by January. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And what's happening now? And it looks like you're launching a new product as well.
Yeah, so basically, I started off with one store in March, and then from there, I just started hitting all the stores in the local area of LA, Orange County, and I even started taking trips like up to Northern California and San Diego, took advantage of whatever I could. And thank God, yeah, within the first 3 months, basically from March till I think June, we hit 100 stores, which I didn't expect because we were only planning to sell it online. But yeah, once I started getting a lot of great feedback from like the store owners and the managers of the stores, a lot of them were saying like, yeah, we want this salt. We've been looking for this type of salt. We can't get it. And so I became the opportunity to fill that lack of supply, of course. And yeah, so we kept going. And this is with having four kids, John. So It's like I would only be able to go prospecting for stores maybe 4 times out of the month. I was able to definitely close a lot of stores. And then we all started getting wholesale stores through online. And so little by little, all over the country, independent grocery stores started ordering our salt, and they keep reordering our salt. So that's how we were able to go from 100 to 300. And that was without any big distributors or anything like that. Then once I started to build up, so my strategy was like, okay, I'm going to build up all the little independent stores, even butcher shops like the Butchery, Irvine Ranch Market, a lot of stores out here in California, man. I'm super grateful for all the stores that took us in the early days. And because what that did is that set up the foundation. So getting into those small stores, I was like, okay, I'm going to apply to a bigger store like Mother's Market, which has 11 stores here in Orange County, LA County, and Arrow One, which is like the premium health food
Oh,
store
yeah.
in California. So I wanted to build that repertoire of small independents and then apply to those medium-sized chains or smaller chains. And yeah, I applied to them as well. And it definitely took follow-up, but they actually took us in. And yeah, the salt's been doing great at those stores as well. And now that all that happened, we picked up a bigger distributor called KeHE, which we were chosen as like a golden ticket winner for their organization. So they scout yearly for like up and coming brands and for basically brands that they think are going to do well. And so we got selected as a golden ticket winner, which is a huge deal. And we launched with KeHE in May of this last year. And yeah, we sold out within our first 60 days being with KeHE. So all of our products sold out within 60 days. And now they're reordering and we're expanding to all over the country. So right now, as we speak, I think in January, we're at 300 stores. Right now it's August. We're somewhere around 800 to 1,000 stores already. I think the goal is to be at 2,000 stores by the end of the year.
Well,
So
you mentioned a few places to get the salt, Brian, as we wrap up here, because a lot of people are going to want to try the product, obviously. Can they get where you mentioned a few of the stores? By the way, getting an Arrow One, I was in that store last year. I heard, I was listening to Rich Roll's podcast, and he had mentioned that store. And then I was in California for a convention for my multi level business. And I said to my wife, we got to go to Arrow One. She's like, what's that? I go, it's this store and it's super high end and it's super premium, but they have some really cool stuff. So we went and it was a pretty remarkable store. But that's amazing that you got in there that quickly because that is a premium store. Absolutely.
yeah, they have some of the highest guidelines and restrictions as far as even be able to get in the
Oh,
store.
yeah.
So definitely it was like a big deal and a blessing to be able to get into that store for
Well,
sure.
that speaks for the quality of your product because they do not sell anything that is not that they don't kick the tires on real hard. But how do people get it? So if they're here in Texas or they're in Chicago or Detroit, and they say, "Hey, let me try Brian's product." Where do they go?
So right now, guys, if you guys are watching this, it's Labor Day, right? So happy Labor Day, everybody. Right now, we are in the process of expanding to all those areas as far as through our big distributor, which is barely beginning in October. So if you guys don't want to wait till October, you got to go to 3 places. You can go to Amazon.com. So if you have Amazon Prime, you can order it there. You get the salt within 2 days of ordering it. You can go to Walmart.com as well. So if you shop at Walmart.com. And number three, you can go to our website, which is www.celtsaltsplural.com. So celtsalts.com,
Salt,
which
salt.
we'll put a link somewhere here so people could grab it.
Okay. Okay. We can put that certainly in the show notes. But Brian, just in wrapping up, man, it's amazing what you've done. Congratulations. What you've done is not easy. I think you know that probably better than anybody, but to launch a business, grow a business, do it with 4 kids, by the way, that's not hard enough to do it when your kids are grown or you don't have them, but to do it with 4 kiddos running around and are young like yours, that's just incredible. And just in closing, any other words of advice you want to share?
Yeah, so just to talk about like the values of the company and also why I'm doing what I'm doing, that's I want to finish off with that. So our company values as far as Nature's Pantry, because Seltsaw is our first product lineup, John, but Nature's Pantry is gonna be our overall umbrella company, which we're gonna have electrolyte powders, we're gonna have a lot of other different products as well. So my vision with the company is a natural food company that provides clean, reliably clean and healthy ingredients. So not compromising and cutting corners for profits because most of the reason why Americans are sick today is because most companies put profits over people. And so my goal is to put people first, and obviously through people recognizing that, hey, we're reliable, we're clean, we're lab tested, that they can actually say, you know what, when I see Nature's Pantry, I know it's a clean product. I could buy it for my family, eat it, comfortably and give it to my children. So that's one big thing as far as our mission. And number two is we're a faith-based company. God's definitely played a huge part of this whole journey for me, and I would not be here without him. My family as well. But I feel like before a lot of companies and even myself before, I was always like a little shy of sharing my faith for fear of like judgment or fear of rubbing people the wrong way. But definitely God's been with me this whole time. And so I am definitely sharing that it's a faith-based company. We're family owned, Christian owned. We don't have any big investors. So we're literally a bootstrap company. So if you want to support a company that has values that you have, which is healthy, natural, faith-based, America first based, that's what I'm about. And we actually have our new packaging here, which I'm not even going to show the new packaging yet, but we put this Bible verse here on our packaging as well. So moving forward, all of our packaging is going to have this Bible verse on the bottom, which is Philippians 4:13, which is I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So um,
Love it.
it's a risk we're taking, but at the end of the day, it's for
Yeah.
me, it's for the kingdom of God.
Not a risk. You could never compete with God, and that's what people do realize. And sometimes they realize it late in life, and sometimes they realize it early. And faith-based companies, okay, are great. Continue to express that, and you might offend a couple of people, but you know what? They'll probably figure it out eventually.
Exactly.
Well, Brian, this has been fun. This has been a privilege. And you know what we should do is have you back maybe every 4 to 6 months and update on the company, because 1,000 stores, you did something 0 to 100 was probably the hardest. 100 to 300 was probably a little less hard because you got some geometry working for you. A
Yeah.
1,000 is amazing, but 1,000 to 10,000, I would think, is your next big milestone.
Yeah, so definitely our goal is 2,000 by December, and then next year 10,000 definitely be attainable. So that's the next step after that. But who knows? We could probably hit that before we even think we could, because even the goals that I've set and we've set for the company so far, like we've been overpassing what we thought we were going to do. And that's just a testament to God and also our team. I have an amazing team. Family, it's a family-based team. Some is not family as well, of course, but I feel like we are like family and we're like ride or die about the company. So shout out to my team as well, because I couldn't do this without my family and my team. So yeah.
How many employees do you have now?
Right now we have about 7 and we have about 5 interns. So it's about 12 of us total right now.
And let me just make one other point, everybody. Support small business, okay? This is an American company, small business, okay? Family owned. These are the type of businesses we need to support, frankly. Brian, once again, thank you, buddy, and continue good success.
Likewise, John, it was great talking to you, and definitely I'll be open and looking forward to coming on again in a few months so we could do some progress and more conversation.
Let's do it.
All right, man. Talk to you later.
Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to check back weekly for more exciting episodes. And don't miss Ink and Insight every Wednesday, where we celebrate iconic authors and dive into their impactful works.